All right, guys, crazy developments coming to the game, hopefully really soon. I honestly am a bit optimistic about it because the developers want us to get this information to you as quickly as possible. I have been seeing kind of a smattering of information across Discord and Facebook and stuff like that. Nowhere have I seen literally all the things you need to know about the new gear sets, the new faction exclusive gear, the new hero exclusive gear in a singular place, not even to speak of extensive research on what the new forging rates will be. Don't you worry, I have got all that for you right here in this video. Gear like this is very much going to be a thing. We have a couple new tier 3 sets, and we have exclusive hero gear, exclusive faction gear, as well as a bunch of other crazy stuff. The gear landscape really is going to change. On top of all of that, the rates are leveling up in terms of dropping the resources, the forging resources you need in the game from your gear dungeons, from your gear raids. But on top of that, from what I can tell, and I've done a lot of research throughout the entire day, the actual rates of getting good things from the forge have also been increased. So the rate to get the forging materials has gone up, but on top of that, the rate of getting higher quality has been boosted as well. You can see in total, I have accounted for 1,650 pieces forged over 3 different test server accounts, my own, and then huge shout out to the Prospector, and then coming out of retirement, Jay and Joe. Amazing stuff. And really, I just can't wait to show you guys all of this stuff. Let me give you a very quick preview and then let's get right into it. Truly, guys, we do have crazy new gear and also like meta-defining gear quality with this hero exclusive gear and faction exclusive gear. The 3 new sets, they are all essentially level ups of old sets. Very cool stuff, very strong. Shouldn't be too hard to get our hands on. We're going to break all this down. Then we've got 3 faction exclusive pieces coming. Each faction is getting 2 pieces that can get the faction exclusive designation. The Watchguard, you can see their effect on the bottom, the North Throne, and then the Cursed Cult. And then 10, that is correct, 10 heroes are getting a piece of hero exclusive gear. Think of it as like another way to get kind of a hero exclusive artifact, but this is just 1 gear piece that has to fit into the right set. Comes with a very potent bonus for all of these 10 heroes. Abomination, Valkyrie, Constance, Toreador, Cetrum, and then for our right side gear, all of that stuff was left side. We have got Salazar, we've got Silas, Virna, Morgan, and Helga. This stuff really is kind of next level. I know some people are going to complain it is hard to get excited about it because of all the delays, but as I said at the beginning, the devs came to us creators on the test server and the Foreigner directly asking us to cover this with the intention of showing it off to a global audience. This might be the good sign we were looking for. Guys, there is so much to discuss. I have to tell you about every single bonus, compare it to the current skills in the game, get super deep on this, show you all the rates, so let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about these new gear sets. We have 3 new tier 3 gear sets, 1 on the left, 2 on the right. What are those going to be? Well, let's start with the right side one. This is called Wings of Grace. And as you're going to see, it's just a straight upgraded version of Invigoration. So Invigoration is going to be plus 25 heal effect. When deployed, the hero and 1 random ally in range gets plus 10% post-deployment attack. This now is going to be plus 30 heal effect, so 5 higher. That's an improvement. And then increases the attack of the hero and then the ally with the highest attack. But don't worry, it still can't go on someone who's already wearing it. So it just gives you a bit more control on like quick deploy kind of things. It's slightly more powerful. But then the post-deployment attack boost to that ally in range and the hero itself is 12%, right? So it's 2% higher, 20% more potent than that 10%. This is just a straight upgrade through and through across the board. Shouldn't be that hard to get your hands on. I sure hope not. Now for the next one, this one again is a straight 1-to-1 upgrade. We had the tier 2 Immortal Warrior, which was like a straight upgrade version of Life Force. Life Force was plus 25% HP. Immortal Warrior was that plus 10% defense. Now Astral Guardian is the new and improved version of both of those. So it's plus 30% HP and plus 15% defense. It's just strong and tanky. It's the improved version. It's clean. It is good. The next one, this is the least of the direct 1-to-1 level up kind of that we've seen on the previous 2 new gear sets, but I thought this is the closest example I could give. You know, we had Infernal Roar. This is a 3-piece set on the right-hand side. Basic attack damage plus 40%. Now with Cataclysm, our new tier 3 set, this is going to be one of the very best DPS sets in the game. It is not contingent damage boost wise on basic attacks. It improves all the damage. However, triggering the stacking of the damage increases is contingent upon the basic attacks. So upon landing a critical hit with the basic attack, increases the hero's damage by 9% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So essentially you're building stacks by getting crits on your basic attack. For heroes with long ults that do not register as basic attack, this will not be a good choice. It's still going to go on like basic attack heroes. That's kind of why I paired them. However, the damage boost is for everything. It is super potent, right? It is literally for everything. So someone like Comet, where his normal hits during his ult are still counting as basic attacks, but the big damage is not, he's a great candidate for this because it's a global damage boost. Now you might be saying the stacks only last for 5 seconds. Well, I have tested it and they refresh every time you build a new stack. So as you go up to 5, every time you place a new stack by getting a crit hit on a basic attack, it refreshes the 5 seconds. And then once you reach the 5 stacks for a maximum damage boost, and again, this is on all damage of 45%, every time you hit a crit hit with the basic, it's going to refresh that. So you're going to keep 100% uptime as long as you're putting out a basic attack once every 5 seconds. Very strong stuff, really good set. But let's get on to the stuff you really want to talk about. I know it's going to be the exclusive gear. Let's start broader with the faction exclusive gear. So, very interestingly, the Watchguard faction and the Cultist faction, the bonus for their faction exclusive gear is just a leveled up version of the Lord skill. So it's a little extra bonus on top of whatever that Lord skill bonus is. So if we look at this Watchguard ring here, you'll see if we go to the bottom, wearing a Watchguard exclusive piece of gear brings an increase to damage dealt and healing effect of 8%. So you get a damage increase of 8% and a heal effect increase of 8%. Obviously, most heroes will benefit from one effect or the other, the damage boost or the heal effect boost, but it's really nice and it directly goes with the Lord skill of a Watchguard Lord. So let me just show you one really quickly. If we go to Leia, we go to her Lord skill, you'll see the base thing here, right? Periodically, you're increasing faction team members' damage and their heal bonus, their heal effect. So there you go. That's essentially what we're looking at here. It's just a direct little boost on the wearer of that gear on whatever boost they're getting from their Lord as well, assuming you're running with the Lord. It is not contingent upon running them with the Lord, but that's just how you can think of it. It's like an enhanced Lord skill that you can get with or without the Lord, but it's a little level up. It's a similar thing. Let's actually skip the North Throne and go to Curse Cult. Very similar thing with Curse Cult. So again, if we look at that exclusive boost, increases damage dealt to enemies inflicted with any crowd control effect. So slow, stun, freeze, immobilize, any other CC, plus 10%. If we go back now to find someone with a Cultist Lord skill, like Demi over here, you'll see the base of that Lord skill, consistent through the rare Lords to the ancient exclusive legendary Lords, is going to be an increase in damage dealt to enemies under those crowd control effects. So Demi as a legendary Lord is bringing a 30% boost. Now it's kind of the same idea you're getting from that exclusive bonus, plus 10% from the exclusive bonus. Demi's given the 30%, Aeon's giving 20. I believe Nero gives 10. You get the picture here, right? Now, if we go back to the North Throne, the final of the faction exclusive gear types we have so far in the game, you would imagine eventually all the factions will get something like this. If we go to North Throne though, you'll see this is the only departure. So a very simple bonus effect from this, when deployed, increases max HP by 10%. So what does that look like in comparison to the normal Lord skill of our North Throne Lords? Well, let's go to my favorite, King Hearts, and you'll see the typical Lord skill does not have anything to do with some kind of post-deployment HP boost. Periodically is granting all faction team members a shield, and then if you're a legendary like Hearts or Elder, also going to give a smaller shield to non-faction members, but there is no just HP post-deployment boost. So this one is a departure, but it's still very much in the North Throne theme. Now, while I'm here, you might see you merit. This is an interesting thing. So these faction exclusive pieces of gear can go on any member of the faction, and then an immediate thought I had was, well, can those pieces go on our unnamables that are like the Dittos and can be a member of any faction like Ymeric and Ajax? And the answer is yes, and this is really powerful, and I want to show you why. So let's go here. You can filter now, guys, by only this hero's exclusive gear. So it'll be hero exclusive gear and then relevant faction exclusive gear. Right now, it's just on the rings, but you can see all the different faction gear I have that I forged is showing up for Ymeric. It is the same for Ajax as well. This is a really cool thing because as they flesh out these faction exclusives, right now they can only show up on the ring. You'll see here's a Cursed Cult ring, then we've got a North Throne ring, then we have got a Watchguard ring. There could be a point where maybe, you know, we get our Nightmare amulet, right? So you can't mix and match different pieces within the same faction. Nightmares get the amulets, Cultists, Watchers, Northerners get the ring. This is just hypothesizing, but you could see how your Ymmerit or your Ajax, they could just wear like a different piece of faction exclusive on each slot as this new quality of faction exclusive gear gets fleshed out. So really cool stuff. Just seeing that all of this could be applied. Another thing you may be wondering is how do these things work with rolling? Well, I've tested that out too. We can use this as an example. You'll see this piece rolled very well. Well, I had to re-roll it. I re-rolled it a couple times on my test server account. This obviously is the test server if that was unclear. Using my recast hammers, it didn't roll bad at first, but it's not like an ancient or a variant where you have some high likelihood of good rolls. So we will touch on this later, but recast hammers, refining crystals, stuff like that are going to become immensely more valuable and more focused on this type of gear, I believe, moving forward. So please start hoarding those materials for that kind of gear customization because we have really rare, really powerful stuff coming soon. I now want to discuss what's going on here when it comes to relevant substats. Well, so far, every single piece I've gotten, and this has been confirmed with other people I've talked to from Test Server and Forerunner, they always have a relevant main stat to like what you would want. But then with these faction exclusive things, and it will be the same for the heroes, we'll discuss that in just 1 second, but with the faction exclusive things, you'll kind of have two versions of each. So if we look over here, let's try to find a nice pairing. Here is a Watchguard ring with heal effect. So that's like a relevant healer support kind of thing, and it's got the same relevant kind of substats. You're always guaranteed a relevant main stat for what they're going for what the set is, and then two relevant subsets, not three, two. Anecdotally, but through some research, that is what I have found to be true. But you might think, but what about a Watchguard DPS? Well, each faction right now is coming with two versions, so let's try to find it. Here's a Watchguard exclusive. This is now on a Cataclysm set, one of our other new tier 3 sets. This is a DPS set, and when you look at that, it comes with an attack bonus main and then two relevant subs here in the crit rate and crit damage. You can hit really nicely like I did on Virna with 4 relevant substats. This is really good. This is a really rare piece from what I can tell. That being said, you're only guaranteed 2. If we click through all of that, you'll see the pattern. Attack bonus on a DPS set, Cursed Cult, with crit rate, crit damage, and Bubkiss, right? Crit damage, attack bonus, crit rate, flat attack, rage regen, 4, that's great, but it wasn't guaranteed. Now, attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage, rage regen, we got 3, that is good. And now here, back to 2. The HP is nice, but it's attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage. You get the pattern. Let's try to find another supporty thing. So here we go. This is a North Throne exclusive on a tanky defender piece, and you'll see it's got the HP bonus, the relevant flat HP and the defense bonus, and then kind of Bubkiss. You get the picture. This is how it works. Pretty darn cool stuff. Let's move over to the hero exclusives now. Before I do, I just want to go over that everything you're seeing in this video has been confirmed by Panther, so shout out to him, and thank you to Arcturus for getting the information vis-a-vis him. This is confirmed in the game file right now on Forerunner that these are the only exclusives available in the game. So we've got the 10 heroes I'm about to go over. Each one of those 10 has one exclusive piece, and it's always on the same kind of gear, whether that be a bangle or a ring or an amulet, a breastplate or a weapon. And then we've got the 3 factions that I just showed you, and they each come with 2 versions, right? And they are all rings. So Watchguard comes in a Wings of Grace version. This is the support version. That is where you will see like your heal effect main stat. And then you've got the Cataclysm version. This is the DPS. That is where you will see the attack bonus, the crit damage, things like that. North Throne, we've got a DPS version again with the Cataclysm and a tank version with the Tempered Will. And then finally Cursed Cult. With that, we've got double DPS version. So there's the Hell's Lament, which is less desirable, and then the Cataclysm, which is more desirable. Hopefully we're going to see a buff to Hell's Lament because right now it's not that relevant. And as you'll see already before we get into it, Salazar's exclusive piece is tied to Hell's Lament. It has to be on that set if you want to run it as a full set. And then also Silas's is tied to Hell's Lament as well. You may be wondering, do you need to run a full set of like all exclusive stuff? Absolutely not. Just having the piece on the right hero gives you that effect. Bang, bang, boom. However, it's always going to be tied, as you can see here, paired to a normal gear set, a normal tier 3 gear set. So if you want to maximize things, you want to get your exclusive bonus while still building a full set on the right side or left side, depends on the specific hero. So now let's go back to my slideshow and get into the hero exclusive stuff. It's going to take a minute, so be patient, guys. First, let me thank Arcturus for helping me get all the missing ones I didn't have. I didn't have any of the left side things on my test server account, so I can get pictures. He helped me out with all of that. Let's kick it off at the beginning with Abomination. We will do the 5 heroes that have left side gear first as their exclusive, and then we'll do the 5 heroes that have the right side gear. So starting with Abomination, after casting Boundless Endurance twice, that is his ultimate, it increases the chance of basic attacks triggering charged attacks by 10%. And this boosts the attack damage by 100%. So let's go to the game. We're going to have to break these down hero by hero. So Abomination, if we go to the ultimate, this is Boundless Endurance. You will see this is a thing he casts. You do it twice and then it becomes permanent. And then a part of his kit is charged attacks. Now, these charged attacks, if you have his exclusive piece, are going to be tied into his ultimate. You can increase that chance. Typically, you've got a 15% chance. Now you get an extra 10% chance, up to 25%. Now, instead of dealing 120% AoE damage, it's going to be 220%. So it's going to be more frequent and more potent. But then the key thing, you want Abomination landing stuns. These only happen at A1 from charged attacks. Would you believe it? Now you're gonna have a higher chance. So this makes him a lot more relevant for stuff where you need stuns like Guild Boss 2, and I would assume more future content. While we're here, let's already click over to Salazar. Let's go back to the show just for 1 second. We'll skip ahead to Salazar now, just because we're already at our Nightmare Fighters. You'll see this is a piece from my account. We've got the attack bonus, crit damage, attack speed, rage regen, but the effect is increases slashing blitz's number of strikes by 2. If you did not know what slashing blitz is, that is his ultimate. It hits 6 times, but now if you've got his exclusive gear, he gets a lot stronger. It's hitting for 33% more, right? Instead of hitting 6 times, there's an extra 2 hits. It goes up to 8 times. This is a very, very cool thing. So if we go there, you can see slashing blitz. You've got 6 strikes. Now it is 8 strikes. This is just a lot more damage. It's just 2 more hits, each one dealing 300% damage. It's going to make him even more of a desirable burst fighter kind of hero. Very, very strong. Back to the proper order I envisioned, we've got Valkyrie. So her exclusive gear is always a weapon. It is always Wicked Vengeance. And you can see it has a very powerful exclusive effect. Each stack of Sword of Victory grants an additional 1% attack bonus. This is a key passive in her kit. Very quickly, before we head back to the game, I do want to highlight something. This piece here is not an ancient. It is not a variant, but would you believe it? You're getting crit damage on a weapon. That seems to be a new effect, at least for now, on these exclusive pieces, that you can get substats, which were formerly only accessible through ancient and variant gear. Now you can get them on normal gear, as long as that normal gear is exclusive. So typically on a weapon, you could not get a crit damage substat on it, unless that weapon was ancient or variant. That no longer seems to be the case, at least for now on test server. So what is Sword of Victory? It's over here. This is such a potent exclusive for her. Increases attack by 5%. This is at max skill up every 14 seconds up to 8 times. So in a long battle, you're going to get 8 stacks of 5% boosts. That brings her up to a 40% post-deployment attack boost. That is super strong. Now, if you've got her exclusive piece, each stack comes with an extra 1% attack. Might not seem like much, but that stacking attack boost post-deployment is really strong. So now it will be 6% per stacks, 8 stacks, a long battle. You've got a 48% post-deployment attack boost on Valkyrie. We love to see that. Now, guys, we have got Constance, and this one isn't tied directly to a skill. It's just an incredible effect. So if we look at the exclusive effect down here, Rage Regen Auto. So this is how much rage she passively generates for herself per second. It's just +3. So it's 3 more rage per second every second that she's deployed. That really does add up over time. So she's just going to be able to ult cycle a lot more. Her ult is the crux of her whole kit. That's awesome. And then it's going to increase the healing multiplier of all her basic attacks by 40%, a 1.4x multiplier boost on all her basic attack heals. That's just really good. She will become a much stronger standalone healer, and from the first part, she will be able to ult a lot more, so she'll be a far better inspiration hero. If we go quickly to her stats over here on my test server Constance, you will see her Rage Regen Auto is 15, so an extra +3 brings it to 18. It's 20% stronger. That is a lot of rage cycling you will get just passively every second, not having to do anything. When she's skilled up, it's a 900 skill cost, so you will cycle pretty dang quickly. It is a very nice thing. Alrighty, now we have Torador. So his exclusive, it's so long, it got almost cut up a little bit, but I'll read it for you. When deployed, increases HP by 10%. So this is a post-deployment HP boost. Really nice considering his HP is kind of what you have to lean on since he has that low defense. Then it increases the chance of triggering Atrocious Trample by 5% when attacking. During the ultimate, the increase of that chance goes up an extra 5% to 10. What is Atrocious Trample? Let's go to him right now. You'll see it's this first passive here. Each attack launches a 30% chance to launch an AoE attack. That also comes with the stun. So again, this is making him a more relevant stunner for content where you need stuns. So in general, when he's tanking and you want some AoE, but obviously the main thing that comes to mind is Guild Boss 2. He's such a top tier lord there. And if you can get this exclusive piece, he is only even better. And you'll see the exclusive effect is going to bring this to 35% and then during ultimate to 40%, but also just the second part of the auto passive here, when Hellfire Burning is activated, the trigger chance increases. It doesn't say by how much, but it's going to be a minimum of 40%. That would be the basement if you have the exclusive gear equipped and he's doing his ultimate. But because they're saying it's increased vaguely, you're going to think it's at least 50, maybe even higher. Build yourself a fast, tanky Torador. He should land a lot more stuns with this piece. Let's go back now and continue. We've got Cetrum. This is our final piece of left side exclusive gear. And this one comes on the weapon again on Wicked Vengeance. And the effect, plain and simple, really good. I don't even need to go to the kit. Increases the damage dealt to shields by 20%. It already is super high from his passive, gets even higher from his awakenings. Now here's just another additive 20%. Really big damage, even bigger damage to what was already huge to shields for Cetrum. He becomes the shield goat even more. And then on top of that, just whenever he's doing his ultimate, he's going to gain 10% penetration. He deals piercing damage, which is physical, which means this is going to ignore 10% of defense. That is fantastic. And then when you stack, for example, this exclusive effect with his exclusive artifact, he only gets stronger, right? Because his exclusive artifact, once you've got all promoted, is going to extend the duration of his ultimate, which is what puts him in the overloaded state. It's going to be extended by 7.5 seconds. So now if you have the exclusive effect from the gear, that is 7.5 more seconds of 10% additional penetration. This stuff is just really strong. It really elevates these heroes in a big way. All right, we already did Salazar, so 4 remaining. Now on to Silas, another piece of right side gear besides Salazar's. This is always going to be on a Bangle and Hell's Lament. And this bonus seems weaker than what it truly is. It's actually super potent. So it increases the damage of soul sniping to 160%. If you're a dork like me, you probably remembered it being over 100% already in your head, and that's correct. It is 140%. However, why is just a 20% boost from 140% to 160% so strong? That is because all of the Silas-y, crazy Silas damage comes from soul sniping. Soul sniping inherently ignores 50% of defense, so it's just really extra strong. Each extra bit of damage does that much more damage, because the defense thresholds are just rock bottom. And then the crazy part is during the ultimate, all of his soul sniping ignores all of the defense and all of the magic res. So any damage is super powered, kind of like true damage, except even better because it can crit. So even just a small 20% boost is very much elevated because yes, it's 1/7 more than what it was before, but all that stuff is just tearing through everything. The boost is coming to his most significant skill, really the thing that makes Silas Silas. Up next now, we've got Virna. We'll actually do her last because I want to show off the entire build. We'll go to Morrigan now. This is a nice piece here. You can see we got the crit rate, crit damage with the attack bonus. This comes on a Bangle, and the set here is going to be Cataclysm, one of our new tier 3 sets. And the effect, it reduces the effect activation time of Curse Pact, her passive, by 20 seconds. And whenever Curse Pact does take effect, you are going to get an increase to damage dealt by 15%. So, Curse Pack is her final passive after being deployed for 40 seconds, increases damage by 30% permanently. Now what's going to happen, this is at max skill ups, it only takes 20 seconds for this permanent damage increase, and for the first 15 seconds after it triggers, you are going to get a 45% boost, an additional 15% on top of that 30. Then it will go back down to the 30. To me, this is not the strongest in the world, but if there was content when you were cycling Morrigan, this could make her a better cycle candidate. it should make her stronger. It certainly is not bringing her to the heights as some of the other heroes we have seen so far. Now for our final hero, guys, before we finish off with Virna and I show you that entire build, we're going to get Helga over here. Here's a piece that comes on an amulet. I would guess it's going to be attack speed a lot because you do want her super duper speedy. It's a very, very simple effect. It's very good. Attack speed permanently just up by 30. She's a super fast girl. You want her as fast as possible. She also has specialized attack speed, so every little incremental boost in attack speed lowers her attack interval, her basic attack interval, far more dramatically. It also scales directly with her ultimate with how quickly that all gets cut down. And then also, it increases Quill Storm's damage by 30%. So that is going to be one of her passives. If we go to Quill Storm over here, you'll see during the ultimate, every 8 instances of damage dealt, which is going to be very constant because she's so fast and she's doing quadruple hitters. Every time she's doing this, there's going to be 30% more damage. So it's going to be increased by 25% from 120, an additional 30 up to 150. That's not the craziest thing in the world. This one, again, like Morgan's, is slightly underwhelming to me. But if you get it early on in your progression, or you're just at a point where you need this much more attack speed, it should be pretty darn nice. All right, for Virna, we can wrap up in the game. We can finish up with that slideshow already. I've got an entire build, and you can just kind of already start to imagine how crazy this stuff could get. So here's my Virna, right? I was able during my forging today to get an entire Cataclysm set going, but I will say I had to refine this crit rate over here. It was so low, and I did recast this entire piece over here. But a hero like Virna can instantly just be brought to new heights, because if you get the right Cataclysm build on her, you can snag this Cataclysm Virna's Bangle over here, which comes with her crazy effect, which I haven't told you yet, but is wild, increases the damage of her ultimate by 100%, and increases that execution threshold by 10%. So after her ultimate, Reaper's Grasp, she does 900% damage. With this bonus now, it will be 1,000% damage. After that went, any enemies in range with 35% health or less after a short delay would just instantly die. Now this brings up to 45%, so nearly half health. And that extra 10% on the threshold is super strong, so this is pretty fantastic. The Cataclysm set is quite nice, and then it all comes together because you can get a Cursed Cult ring on her as well, and you can just get another crazy effect, increasing her damage dealt to enemies inflicted with crowd control effects. So if you're running her with a Morrigan or a Demi, there's a 30% damage increase to crowd control heroes. Additively, add on another 10%, so now it's 40%. She's getting that from the faction exclusive effect over here, and then she's dealing more damage on the ultimate, and then if they're far higher in health, 45% or lower, she just executes all of them. A build like this truly would take Virna to the next level, so it's something truly to get excited about. All right, let's talk about rates, and let's talk about my research. All right, so again, a final thank you to Arcturus for helping me get all the images I was missing that I didn't have on my test server, as well as inadvertently Panther for giving us these total rules over here. Very, very cool stuff. Now let me thank Prospector, who did his own forging and then put all his data together and gave it to me. He was already doing it for his own video, but I asked for the data and he obliged very graciously. I appreciate it. And then Jay and Joe, I just reached out. I was like, hey, do you still have your test server? And Jay took it upon himself to do this for me. And it really, I think, gave us enough data that I can give you some pretty decent rates. You know, this is not a big enough sample size, but it at least is slightly significant to the point that we know the rates will be somewhere in this range. So if you don't know, whenever this update does come, they're going to increase the drop rate of getting Smoldering Scales. This is for forging your right side gear, and then Sanguine Fabric. This is for your left side gear. So we're going to have more materials to work with. But then from my research here, from putting all this data together from Jay and Joe, Prospector, and then my own stuff, it really does seem like the chances, well, we weren't able to get exclusives before, that seems up. But then on top of that, the ancient and variant rates seem up. It's pretty exciting. So let's go with what I did. So I didn't have any left side stuff. I didn't have any of the Sanguine Fabric. I must have done forging for that a couple months ago. I did ask for more, so hopefully they sent me a bunch more and I can do a bunch more research. I did just the right side. I had 5,000 scales. That allowed me to forge 250 pieces. And then you'll see I got 11 faction exclusives and then 6 hero exclusives. And I got 3 ancients and 1 variant. So I did all the math for you guys. Of those 250, 6.8%, 17 were exclusive pieces, and then 4, which is 1.6%, were either ancient or variant. We love to see it. Prospector had by far the biggest sample. He did 10,000 fabrics, 10,000 scales. That comes to 500 of each type, left side type, right side type. So 1,000 total pieces forged together. We'll start with just the left side. So you'll see he got these, the Valkyrie, Abomination, Cetrum, Tor, Constance. We add all together. There are no faction exclusives that you can get on left side gear that only exists on the right side on rings. But for the weapons and breastplates, for those 5 heroes, he got 7% exclusives. He got 35 drops in total from the 500 total pieces. That means 7% of the drops were exclusives. He also got 2 ancients and 2 variants for a total of 4. That is 0.8%, which might not seem like which may not seem like a lot, but in the past, I've seen things as low as like 1 in 1,000 forges or 2 in 1,000 forges. So 4 in 500 and something that seems to bear out over the 1,650 total between these 3 accounts seems pretty good. For his right side, you'll see it came out to 8.6% exclusives, 5.6 of which were faction, 3.0% were heroes, and then again 0.6 ancient and variant. That was a bit low. The numbers get a little higher again with Jay and Joe. So Jay did 3,000 fabrics. So it was 150 total pieces on the left side. He got 7.3% hero exclusive pieces, 11 total. And then he got 2 ancients and variants, 1 ancient, 1 variant respectively. That was 1.3% from those 150 pieces forged. Then he did just like me on the right side, 5,000 scales. This was 250 total pieces. He had 12 faction exclusives, 8 hero exclusives for a total of 20 exclusives, which is 8%. Quite a nice drop rate. And then ancient and variant, again, he got 1 ancient, 1 variant, 2 total, 0.8%. Let's just wrap it up with the totals here. So we did 13,000 sanguine fabrics, 20,000 smoldering scales. That comes out to 650 pieces and 1,000 pieces in total. We were looking at 1,650 pieces. For the left side, we found on average the exclusive drop rate to be 7.1%. This was for heroes only. For the right side, the exclusive drop rate was 8%. About 5%, 5.1% for the faction exclusives, 2.9%, about 3% total for the hero exclusives. And then for ancients, we found on both of them, it was about 0.9%. This is not a huge sample, but it's also not a small sample. I think the takeaway, exclusives are somewhere in the 7% to 8% range. That's what I believe the drop rate to be. Hard to say about that distribution between faction and hero. It might just be random. It might just like hit exclusive and then it rolls random. We cannot say for sure. But you're looking at higher than a 5%, I think almost decidedly higher than a 5% chance with every single forge you do that you will get an exclusive piece of gear whenever this update happens. And remember, we'll get more forging materials in general. And then we're seeing on average the ancient and variants, when we combine them, they're dropping at just less than a 1% rate. That's better than what I was seeing. I was seeing like 0.2%, at least anecdotally. I did do one session where we did about 38,000 materials total. It came out to like 1,900 pieces forged. And in total, I believe we got like 4 ancients and 1 variant. So that could have just been bad luck. It's hard to say for sure. Shout out to Dr. King Schultz. But I think things seem to be trending in a very good way. So how shall we wrap this up? Well, I want to speak to what I think are the limitations of this new system. Obviously, I think this stuff is very exciting, but it's still not live on global. So I would assume they're working on it. So I want to kind of express what I think the limitations are. And then I want to give suggestions. So the limitations are nothing is guaranteed. You can hit ancient and variant on this gear, by the way. I know Prospector did hit on a ancient Hell's Lament Silas exclusive, so these things can overlap, but obviously stuff like that's gonna be pretty unlucky. It's hard to hit this in general. We're not all gonna have stockpiles of all this stuff. Let me actually take this moment to say, do not forge at all. Save everything until this comes live in game. Please, it is not worth it. Even if it takes months, just save all your forging materials because everything is getting such a crazy glow up. Let's backtrack for a second. Okay, back to the matter at hand. You're not guaranteed to get good stats on these things. This one, I was super lucky, this Virna exclusive. This cultist exclusive ring over here, I was very lucky that I got such nice substats. However, it did not roll well, and I actually had to recast it several times. I think more than ever, the value of recast hammers and the refining crystals, things like that, are just going to go way up with the introduction of this stuff. It's going to be very hard to hit on the final piece you need to complete your set, while it also being exclusive, while it also having the right substats. So when that does happen, you want to make sure if it doesn't instantly roll well, you are well equipped with the proper materials to re-roll it, recast it, refine it, to make it look the way you want it to look. So I think that's a significant limitation, and let me actually turn that into the suggestions now. I think it would be pretty cool. This would be an extremely valuable resource, but imagine if they sold like a Virna stone. And when you get a Virna stone, you can take the right piece of gear. So I guess for this, it would be Cataclysm and have to be a ring, but you could wait till you have the perfect Cataclysm ring, and then you could kind of ascend that piece to be a Cursed Cult ring and then be the proper relevant thing, or to use the Virna example, to be Virna's bangle, but have already had the right stats. So you could be hunting for the right piece, and then you could have some material to ascend it to be Virna's bangle or to be the Cursed Cult ring. I don't know if that would be too powerful, but I think something like that would give people a bit more agency. All in all, assuming the drop rate is increased significantly enough on these forging materials, I think we could be cooking. You see, I'm fresh out on my test server stuff. But with those rates that I found from my mini little study, again, shout out to Prospector and Jay and Joe, you know, if we're able to get more of the materials to begin with and we have those rates, I think we could be in a really nice spot. Guys, I know this was a really long video, so I so appreciate your patience. A huge thank you to Rtype, who's going to help me edit this one. I know this video was long, but from what I could tell, all the relevant information was not together in one place. I wanted to give that to you guys. This is literally, as of now, everything you need to know about how the new gear sets work, and then certainly the new hero exclusive gear and faction exclusive gear works, as well as all the forging rates no one asked for, but I absolutely wanted to find out for myself and then share with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, please subscribe, share with your mother. I've been Fastidious, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.